We're getting straight into it after an abrupt ending of the last. What? The tea party for episode 6's conclusion?
I'm a woman on a mission. What do you know what happened?
You just stopped recording in the middle of a discussion. I was like, oh, okay.
I thought it was finished.
We at least started to get onto the right track. So I think we have enough information to go on.
Okay, let's do it.
So we know, Mitz knows, there are two quote-unquote Final Fantasy characters coming into play this episode.
Is that what I said originally?
Yeah, you were like, oh, they look like Final Fantasy characters.
When do we get to meet them? Not for ages.
When was that? That would have been episode 5. Okay.
How come they aren't on the screen this time, though? And what type of voices should we be doing for them? I need to be mentally prepared.
When you see them, you'll figure one out. I gotta figure one out too. Please. I don't know who's speaking.
I don't know.
Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, illusions to illusions.
Is this Burncastle?
And dreams to dreams. It's probably Battler, to be honest. I'll just do neutral. A dream is something drawn in the sand between coming and receding waves. Something so fragile that it's wiped blank every time a wave comes in. So, the heartless might sneer, saying that drawing such things is useless and meaningless. However, no wave will ever come again to wipe away the dream she drew. And now, that final, beautiful dream of hers will not disappear for all eternity. Come, try and picture it. It's as though the rays of the gentle afternoon sun on a warm spring day simply forgot to grow dim ever again. It truly is such a wonderful thing. Witness to your final dream. Publius Virgilia Maro.
Wait, was that me?
I guess so.
Wait, go back. Let's do this properly.
No. We've
no,
already
go
got.
back.
We
No,
got
go
the
back.
rave music started already. We
Go
can't
back.
stop.
No,
We can't stop.
Virgilia needs her time in the sun.
No, she's too old to be in the sun any longer. The suspects were gathered in a room, and several inquisitors of heresy were reporting on the results of their investigation. Their uniforms closely resembled those of Eisenjungfrau, but they were slightly different. Also different were the badges signifying their department.
Wait, Eisenjungfrau, is that Nox's division?
Yep. Then came the sound of someone clapping their hands once. It was the lead female inquisitor. She was announcing that all reasoning had been completed. You can do this.
Me?
Yeah. Try, I reckon, just do like a classic Sherlock-y.
Does this person have a...
No, we won't see this person ever again.
Okay. Sherlock, you say?
Just like the arrogant detective kind of thing.
As has been shown, it is all quite clear. Know that the preceding logic has proven the non-existence of your alibi.
At the end of her pointing finger was a quivering maid with frightened eyes. Her name was... No, that's not important. What matters now is that she could have entered the closed room study where the victim was found whenever she pleased. And furthermore, that her claimed alibi for the time of the crime has been proven to contradict the facts.
I swear,
Shaking.
if it's Kumasawa, I'm gonna flip a table.
The maid tried to continue in her illogical pleading, but all of her statements had already been seen through. These are all just non-characters, except for one.
Is this the same person?
Yep.
Sorry, did you say...
Yes.
Yeah, okay. With this, we conclude our proof of the whodunit and how done it. Know that your position as the culprit is now an unshakable fact.
You can also...
You must be joking! Why? But wood? I'm assuming it's wood? Why would I kill the master I loved and respected so? I have no motive, no reason. Who did it and how? It's not me! Who didn't know? Know that establishing these is more than sufficient. Please allow me to speak. Know that motives are unnecessary in mysteries.
The Inquisitor spoke coldly. Here's your Virgilia. After finishing her witch's prayer, Virgilia stepped back from the coffin, which lay on an altar, bedecked with many beautiful roses. In her place, Battler moved to the front of the coffin, wearing his territory lord's cape. Though the cape was supposed to represent dignity and majesty, it somehow made Battler look smaller. Battler held a book with a majestic binding in his hand. It was a game record that had just been written. Or perhaps it was a tale, a game, or else a fragment. Written in it was the dream that would be more enjoyable for her than any other. Battler pressed it against his forehead and contemplated for some time. Then he kissed it and laid it gently in the coffin. It rested upon her chest. She looked like a little girl clutching her favorite stuffed animal as she drifted off to sleep. This is the sole tale I have to offer up to you. This tale will be shut up with you in your coffin for all eternity. So, no one will be able to read it except for you, there in your coffin.
Is Virgilia even gonna... Okay, here we go. Shut away in that cat box. The only unchanging, inviolable, eternal tale.
This way. No one will be able to defile it. No one can deny it. And no one can argue against it. This is just between me and her. Just the two of us. Our one and only certain truth. Oh dear. Yeah, who do you want to do?
I don't know who they are.
Do you remember what they look like at all?
I know one is blue hair and one is blonde hair, but you told me to close my eyes every time, so I wasn't supposed to see them.
Not blue.
And now you're like, who do you want to do?
Do you want the blonde or the...
Like, one was a girl and one was a guy, right?
One is edgelord and one is blonde.
One is edgelord and one is blonde. What does an edgelord even sound like?
One is Squall from Final Fantasy VIII. I'll just do him, because it'll be easier.
Okay, fair enough.
I just need to think of the voice, though.
Squall, what voice would you give Squall?
It just needs to be cool. I don't have any cool voices, especially while I'm sick.
Yeah. Oh! That snuck out.
I'm gonna leave it in too.
No! Take it out!
Those bastards. That was terrible. A man dashed through a town wrapped in twilight. The daytime hustle and bustle of this beautiful village, which combined the traditional with the orderly, in the classic style of the last century, now seemed like a mere dream. The orange setting sun was already hidden behind the clock tower, and the narrow alleyway was rapidly descending into darkness.
That car beeping is really annoying.
Yeah. As the gaslights began to turn on, they only made the darkness of the twilight stand out all
Shut
more.
up! So annoying.
The man sprinted. There was no time. He had to hurry. He'd had several experiments to do and things he had to check, and it had all taken longer than he'd expected. Yes, there's no mistake there. The whodunit and howdunit are more than enough in the mystery genre. Actually, I don't know who that was. In the mystery genre, the motive, or the why-done-it, is given the lowest priority. To have a murder, you need to have a culprit, and he needs to commit a crime. Motive isn't required for that. So, it's usually the most ignored element. In fact, these days, there are even some who call it unnecessary. If you find the culprit with nothing but the why-done-it, that's no mystery. Oh dear. I thought it was... Oh, this is just terrible. I thought this was like just the narrator like quoting something, but this is actually the guy. If you find the culprit with nothing but the why done it, that's no mystery. That's propaganda. However, just because of that fact, it doesn't mean you can neglect the motive, the heart.
We both know how much fun We both know how much fun she'll be having in her final sleep. So I doubt anyone could disturb it. After all, who could possibly disturb a sleeping child smiling at a happy dream?
Where is the code?
So loud. Come, it is time for us to leave. If we are too noisy, we'll wake her from her dream.
You're right. What else should you do with a sleeping kid, except put a blanket on them, turn off the lights and walk away quietly? After looking at the coffin one last time, Virgilia turned around quietly. Battler did the same, but then he stopped and turned to face the rose-covered altar. Battler offered up his final words within his heart. As long as those words didn't leave his mouth, no one would be able to know what they were. However, those words of the heart caused Battler's expression to change several times. At first, he frowned sadly. Then, his face clouded with remorse, and then changed to a bitter, exasperated smile. It flashed through several varied expressions. Then, the final expression that crossed his face was surprisingly a gentle smile. Something rose to Battler's lips. However, he bit it back down. There could certainly be no words to describe the many feelings he kept in his chest. So, saying anything aloud would probably be crude. Battler understood this and stopped himself from speaking once more with a wry smile. Thank you.
Oh, I have done nothing to deserve your gratitude.
I'll leave the rest to you. After seeing Virgilia nod back at him, Battler turned away from the altar one more time, and left the chapel. Virgilia also disappeared, and with that, all disturbances that might have interrupted her blissful sleep had vanished. The Inquisitors of Heresy listened with calm, no, scornful gazes. They listened to the frantic babbling of the maid accused of murdering her master. However, nothing she said could bury the fault in her own alibi. They were all mere emotional arguments. I loved and respected the master so much, I had no motive for killing him. No matter how much he spoke, it only made her look more and more like the floundering true culprit struggling pathetically. The requirements for the who done it and how done it had been satisfied. As for the why done it, the motive, the heart. No matter how much she spoke of gratitude for her master, who had graciously given her a job when she had been left by the wayside after various misfortunes, it didn't help her case in the slightest in the mystery genre. Therefore, her motive didn't matter. All of that could just be squeezed out of the culprit afterwards. An inquisitor of heresy took out a roll of parchment and held it forth, cutting off the maid's sobs and protests. Just go with you.
This is how you committed the crime. Know that this indictment has been received by the Great Court and that your arrest has been approved. Here is the warrant for your arrest. Motive unnecessary. Is this still them?
Yeah.
I don't know who's speaking!
Yeah, keep going.
Know that such a thing is completely extraneous to the matter of pinpointing the culprit. Please allow me to speak. Know that we of the SSVD possess methods of forcing unrepentant criminals to reveal the truth. With these interrogation tools blessed by the powers of justice, we inquisitors of heresy will strap up your limbs, burn you, crush you, stretch you, and hang you. In so doing, wring the red truth out of you. It isn't even necessary for you to confess. Aides, arrest that maid. It wasn't me! I didn't kill a master! No! No! No!
Hold it right there. You've got the wrong culprit.
I'm excited for a new character.
A man kicked the door open, and the inquisitors were all shocked at the sight of him.
Why are you here? Know that this case is no longer your responsibility.
Quiet. You find one person without an alibi and just assume she's the culprit?
Wait,
Do you
is he
really
on...
think there's no need for a motive for a heart in a crime?
Is this someone from Nox's team?
These are like all like those kind of faction people, yeah, I guess.
Ooh.
Crimes are committed by people. There are no crimes without a heart. I'll never accept a theory that neglects the heart.
And know that your obsession over the why done it is simply embarrassing. The why done it is unnecessary. Such a thing can be extracted easily through interrogation. Even the Great Court has already acknowledged that this woman is the culprit.
True, the Great Court does assume that everyone besides the maid has an alibi, but that's just because they heard you say so, and they've mistaken your overconfidence and conceit for wisdom. If any one of the other suspects loses their alibi, your evidence so far proves nothing. Just look at how pathetic some of these other alibis are. I don't even know who's... Did the clock in the reception hall chime midnight at exactly the right time? Did the dog by the back door bark at everyone? Oh boy. So, you managed to prove the maid's alibi false. Congratulations. But does it end there? It may have been possible for her to do it, but does she have any motive at all? Are the alibis for the others absolutely perfect? This maid wasn't the only one with a false alibi. You have to keep on searching if you want to find the others. Was there some sort of grudge against the victim, or some money-related problem? Don't abandon motive, don't abandon the heart. Dry mysteries where the motive can just be figured out later aren't worth anyone's time.
If the maid isn't the culprit, then why did she fake an alibi? Even asking such a question is a waste of time. No, that we just have to interrogate her, wring out the red truth, and have her sign in red blood to everything that happened at the time of the crime.
Yeah, you probably can do that. You can just use that torture of yours and squeeze out everything frankly and objectively, as seen from the eyes of God. But you know what? I'll never accept mysteries and theories that lack heart.
I have already taken over responsibility for this case. I even have a decree. Right here. Come now, aides. Know that there is no reason to hesitate. I order you to arrest this maid.
When she gave this order, her subordinates hesitated, looking back and forth between their superior and that man. I won't let you. The real culprit's a different person. It's possible to use motive to find them, and their alibi trick is an old one. You can't neglect the heart. I'm trying to think of how I can do like a Kaiba voice for him.
Kaiba would be pretty funny.
Kaiba.
There's no need for that. We just have to find the suspicious ones who could have committed the crime, interrogate them, and squeeze out the red truth. On the off chance that they aren't the culprit, then we just have to interrogate the next suspect.
You call that reasoning?
Stand back. We will arrest that woman. Know that this maid is a culprit.
It is forbidden for a servant to be the culprit.
What? Did you say?
The words of power blasted away the aides trying to arrest the maid. Van Dane's 20 rules. Rule number 11. If you want to torture this maid, make sure you double-check the alibis for the second wife and her lover first.
Those two already have a clear alibi for the time of the crime.
That? An alibi? Damn it, a fool like you couldn't understand no matter how easy I make it for you. If you want to call yourself a head inquisitor, try and figure out at least that much for yourself. Until then, I'll be taking that maid's arrest warrant.
Then what about you? Can you prove that this maid didn't commit the crime? Know that she was clearly away from the kitchen at the time of the crime. What was she doing then, and where? She can't prove it, I can't prove it, and you can't prove it. No one can. That's why we have no choice but to use these torture devices to interrogate her until the red truth is squeezed out.
You can squeeze as much blood and truth from the true culprit as you damn well please. However, I won't let you interrogate or torture anyone who isn't that culprit.
This is why everyone says you're too soft. All the suspicions and suspicious must be interrogated. That is how we Inquisitors of Heresy conduct our witch trials.
That's right, we are Inquisitors of Heresy. Felling evil witches is our job. However, we mustn't risk hurting the innocent. We mustn't put them under suspicion. All humans have their own personal truths. Those should only be exposed when they commit crimes. We've been given the right to expose them, but there's one thing we can't do.
What?
No one, not even God, has the right to expose the innocent truths of those who have not sinned. The maid finally realized that he was trying to protect her.
I don't know who you are, but... Thank you! Thank you very much! I'm really not the culprit. I don't know why I turned southern all of a sudden.
Turned into a muppet. Yeah, I know. Your boyfriend said he'd be willing to give up everything to prove your alibi. You should thank him. That kid said that honor and reputation are worth nothing compared to you.
But if he does that, he'll...
It won't come to that. Exposing the secrets between lovers is a job for third-rate magazines. That's not mystery. I'll never allow for heartless reasoning. Secrets. Then, for the first time, the man's sullen expression relaxed, and he patted the maid's head roughly. I'm sure you two will be happy together. Still, meeting together in secret while on the job is hardly praiseworthy. Try to keep that to a minimum.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
These words were heard only by the two of them. The man had learned of her innocence, which could only be proven by exposing the secrets of a pair of young lovers, and he had rushed about in search of a solution, resentful of the arrogance of those trying to expose this by forcible means. The point of the theory-making is not to create a culprit, or to trample the truths that lie in the hearts of those who have not sinned. If you want to play the detective, don't neglect the heart. Otherwise, we're just intellectual rapists. Don't forget it. When the man spoke, the Inquisitors no longer had any way to argue back. This man's name is Will. And yet, that's not what everyone used to call him. Head Inquisitor of Heresy of the SSVD, the 8th District Repentance Enforcement Agency of the Great Court of Heaven. Wizard hunting right. This is the last thing I have to pass on to you guys.
Wait,
if you want to be the next...
be a Phoenix Wright reference?
Probably. I mean, Battler's pointing pose is already a reference, so...
Oh, that's true. To me, he seems more like a van.
Oh, what?
A van.
Van.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, like, the name Van from Zoids?
Vaughn.
Van.
No, they called him Vaughn, didn't they?
I thought
they called him Van. Yeah, you're right. If you want to be the next wizard hunting right, remember it, no matter what. Credits? Yep.
Ooh, new music. Oh, what is that, an organ? I don't know what I'm looking at. Slightly laggy for me. An organ?
Yeah, it might have been. I'm not sure, actually.
Did anyone play music in the family, the Inchiramias?
There's plenty of, like, organ instrumentals back in the old episodes.
True.
You know, at some point during this episode, I'm gonna have to get you to go back and look through the mysteries.
What do you mean?
Actually, you can... If you feel like it this week, I would encourage you, after what we discussed, to go back through, like, some of the crimes and, like, using whatever theory we considered. See
Time
any
traveling
possibilities.
Maria.
I swear we like... No, I don't even know anymore.
Have I ever come close to anything in my theories?
Yes, plenty of
I
times.
have? How do I keep missing stuff then?
Because I always steer you away from it after.
Well, that's not my fault then, is it?
Not always. Sometimes I'll just not say anything. You were getting on the right track from discussion before. If you remember what you were talking about, you can go back through it. Like, I don't know, just episode 1 or something, and see if you can.
Oh my goodness,
Figure
episode
it
1
out.
is so long ago. Wait, actual episode 1
Actual
or our
episode
first,
1.
Our first ones. Okay.
Like actual
'Cause we
episode
don't have we don't have an episode 1.
No, we don't. Quietly, quietly. The rain fell down. The rain of sadness dripped down the outer walls of the chapel, quietly washing away the dust of the world of the living. The chapel doors were quietly open during a quiet wedding. Only those with invitations were quietly allowed inside. However, during a funeral, the doors are open to all who remember the deceased. So, this must be a funeral. A shadow holding an umbrella approached the chapel. It was Will. A reception desk had been set up at the chapel's entrance. As the shadow approached, Cannon, who had been sitting at the desk, stood up and welcomed him with a bow. This is the reception desk. We are collecting the names of all mourners. If you would sign in here. Sorry, but I'm not a mourner. I'm here to meet with someone. You came to a funeral to meet someone. A dubious expression rose to Cannon's face. Will pulled an envelope from his pocket and showed him the sender's name. My apologies. Please enter. Thanks. Could I at least have one of those? Thank you very much. I am sure she will be pleased. Cannon handed him one of a set of golden roses, which were being handed out to all the mourners. Will took it, silently bowed his head, and entered the chapel. Inside the chapel, several people who appeared to be the family of the deceased were gathered, and they all seemed to be recalling memories of the departed. Oh my gosh, I cannot. Oh, Beatrice! Why? If I do the other way, it's just going to ruin my voice even more. So I'm just going to do it like that. Oh!
We didn't see him very much, so I'm not used to
It's
him.
been a while, yeah.
Looking like this. Oh my goodness.
Just,
Father, please take care.
yeah, I'll just see if I can find it really quickly. I'll just send you a picture. I can find it. There's an actor that, what's his name? I forget. I'll have to find it later.
Yeah, it's fine. I can look at it later. Why don't you rest in the waiting room for a bit?
I killed her. I did it.
Absurd. How could that be, Rosa Summer? Father's really bawling.
Yeah. Beatrice, huh?
I'm sure he didn't cry this much when Mother passed away.
Hey, now's not the time to say things like that.
Some sobbed, unable to conceal their tears, and some spoke softly of old memories. They were all remembering the dead in their own way, it seemed. When Will approached the altar, several people turned around. Of course, none of them knew who Will was. Paying this no mind, Will walked in front of the casket on the altar, which seemed to be buried under golden roses. Inside the casket, there was no corpse. Instead, as though it lay there in place of a body, was a single thick book with an extravagant binding. The space all around it was filled with countless golden roses. There were words printed on the book's cover. To my beloved Beatrice, October 5th, 1986.
And he steals
Miss.
the book and reads it?
Miss Beatrice. If it was Mrs., then forgive me. I have never met you. However, allow me to express my condolences. He took the rose he had received from the reception area and placed it in the casket. He had absolutely no connection to the woman called Beatrice. However, since he had come to visit a funeral, he had to show this minimum amount of respect for the dead. As part of this, Will prayed for the passage of the dead into the next world.
Pardon me. But who might you be? I am Ushiromia Kraus. I am serving as the chief mourner. This is my child, Leon.
Leon? Leon? What?
This can be you.
Leon? Where's Jessica? Wait, is this the child? What do you mean this is Jessica? This is not
I said,
Jessica.
where is Jessica?
Is this the child that, if Natsuki didn't throw the child over the cliff?
I don't even know anymore. What have we even been talking about?
The child. There was a child.
I know what you're talking about, but I just... Oh, I can't even put it into words.
Let me think. Jessica was super boyish, so maybe we'll make this one super girly. But not as girly as Shannon. Shannon is overkill. Pleased to meet you. I'm Ushiromia Leon.
Leon? Who the heck are you?
It's written as kanji, but pronounced Leon. I guess it is a bit strange for a Japanese name.
Will stared at Leon's face, wearing a confused expression. He hadn't seemed particularly interested in Kraus, but Leon had apparently drawn some sort of reaction from him. Rather than interest, it was more as though he felt like something was out of place.
Kraus-sama. Madame says it's about time. Ah, I see. Ladies and gentlemen, if we're too noisy in here, it may disturb the dead. I've been told that the waiting room has been readied. Shall we move over there?
When Kraus called out to everyone, they began to move towards the chapel waiting room.
My apologies. Leon, could you entertain our guest for now? I will guide the others to the waiting room.
Yes, father.
It looked like a natural conversation, with no awkwardness for either father or child. Father and child, is it?
Yes, but why do you ask?
Ishiremiya Krause's child is supposed to be Jessica.
Jessica's my little sister. Do you need me to call for her?
No, that won't be necessary. Apparently, some sort of game was already being played right off the bat. Scratching at his head with an irritated look on his face, Will glanced around.
Pardon me, but what sort of relationship do you have with the deceased?
None at all. It's a real pain.
Then, why did you come to this funeral?
Since Leon was a fairly mild person, Will's behavior was met with nothing more than a blank expression. A normal person would probably have put on a dubious look long before this. Will scratched his head again and yelled angrily at someone other than Leon. I'm here. Isn't it about time you showed your face? The members of the Ushiremiya family had already followed Krause's instructions and moved to the waiting room. By now, no one could be seen in this cold, vast chapel, decorated with gold roses, except for Will and Leon. So, you've come. A wizard hunting right, Inquisitor of Heresy. The girl's voice came suddenly from behind the pair. When Leon turned around in surprise, a girl had appeared out of nowhere and drifted down on top of the altar. She landed softly on the sacred funeral altar as though this was perfectly normal, crushing the golden roses under her shoes. Of course, Leon didn't know this girl. Just why on earth were all of these people unrelated to the funeral popping up one after another? I'm already retired. If you have a job you need doing, go ask the new right. No.
Is right like a battler's equivalent?
Good question. I think there are some who would say so, yeah.
He's got anti-coloured hair.
He has that strand of battler's red hair. No, you're the one I want to ask. I'm giving this case to you. Did you read the tale I sent you? I skimmed it.
I don't know who you are, but please get down from there. That's a sacred altar.
Snapping out of a daze. Was it?
Her voice is totally going to change later.
It's not too bad. You may change it later. You'll see.
I just have to get to that comfy place where
I
it
think,
sits. It's kind of wavering at the moment between not sure what's going on.
I think the very first line you did with them was fine. I was gonna say something and then you did the first line. I was like, oh no, if you go with that, I'd be fine. Snapping out of a daze, Leon told the girl to get down off the altar, but she ignored this completely. On top of that, Will kept on talking to the girl as though Leon wasn't even there. I hear this is Leon. Who is that, exactly? You've already heard who. Ushiremiya Leon. There's no case of a person with that name appearing in any of the previous games. Is this your piece? No. It's a true and proper piece of this game board. A character appearing in the story. You're the game master. That means it's your piece. I've just moved from Beato's cat box into a larger cat box. Leon is one of the pieces who has a possibility of appearing inside it.
Ah, I see. In other words, it's your piece.
It's a piece I've placed, would be the correct way to say it.
So you're saying this piece isn't your subordinate, like Erica?
Erica? Who's that? Rip.
Erica-san?
Don't try to understand. You'll just get a headache.
Leon didn't have a clue what they were talking about. However, though neither person was familiar, it seemed clear that they both knew a lot about the Ushiremiya family.
I don't know what you two are talking about. Anyway, you girl, please get down off the altar. I ask this as a successor to the Ushiremiya family headship.
Even Leon was finally forced to speak in a raised voice to that girl, who continued to chat while casually standing on the altar. However, the girl ignored this completely. On the other hand, Will did show a reaction.
The successor is supposed to be Kraus.
My father, Kraus, will be the acting head until I turn 20. I am to succeed the headship.
First I've heard of this. Can you prove it?
It seemed that even Leon was starting to get ticked off by now. That calm expression appeared to twitch slightly.
This is the successor's silver ring of the one-winged eagle. Is that proof enough for you?
A silver ring? The golden heads ring has appeared several times, but I've never heard anything about a silver ring for the successor. I don't remember Kraus or Jessica ever wearing one of those.
I'm glad. For someone who's just skimmed it, it seems you've read it pretty well.
When a witch hands you a story, you never know when something absurd will pop up. Especially when it's a great witch from the Senate.
Who in the world are you two? Sorry, but I don't have a clue what you're talking about. If you've finished offering flowers to the departed, please make your exit. It seems you two aren't worthy of our family's hospitality.
Leon finally ran out of patience. These were the strictest words that this gentle kid could unleash. However, Will and the girl seemed not to care at all.
I didn't come here because I wanted to.
We're wasting time, so let's move onwards. Right, try and beat this game. As the game master, Bernkastel, I invite you to join in.
I refuse.
Why?
I'm retired now. Reasoning and mysteries aren't my business anymore.
How do you intend to spend the rest of your life? Is wizard hunting right going to give up witch hunting?
There's still fox hunting and clam hunting to look forward to. I didn't come here to discuss the rest of my life with you.
So, you came here to refuse?
Know that your powers of deduction are truly a sight to behold.
Then do as you will. Go wherever you please. That is, assuming that you can leave this place.
So, what are the terms and payment?
In truth, Will had resigned himself from the beginning. He knew that he was incapable of refusing an invitation from the great Lady Bernkastel. Who killed Beatrice? That's my game. In payment, I'll forgive you for your insolence and let you leave this chapel.
I hear that boredom-hating witches just love being spoken to rudely.
That's only for hags who've tired of life after 1,000 years. I'm still plenty young, so I love thinking up horrible fates in which to trap rude men like you.
So, who's my enemy?
There is none. There's no one to stand in your way. I just want to sit back and watch you make your beautiful checkmate in this game. I've even found you an ally. That's what this Leon is for. After hearing that name spoken out of the blue, Leon frowned once more. Apparently they were moving things along without Leon's knowledge or understanding, which the latter seemed to find truly irritating. Leon is a member of the Ushiromiya family, and should prove to be a useful ally, seeing as no one in the family knows you.
I'm not sure what this is all about, but I can hardly be of assistance until I know what's going on here.
There, see? With help like this, it'll be a piece of cake.
Entertain me, and my master. Wizard hunting, right? Ow may be a polite theater goer, but I might throw popcorn at you if I get bored, okay? Will scratched at his head with a displeased look on his face. He wasn't at all interested in getting involved, but by now he realized that he couldn't disobey Berncastell's orders. Then he approached the casket and pointed at its rose-filled insides.
You asked me to solve the case of Beatrice's murder, but Vandine's 20 rules, rule number 7. It is forbidden to have a crime without a corpse.
That's the devil's proof. Maybe it just isn't inside the casket. Unless you can prove that no corpse exists, this is a mystery.
Rule number 1. It is forbidden to have a crime without all clues presented.
Don't worry. Everything is gathered here. Though there was no change to Will's unsatisfied expression, he seemed to have understood the general pattern of this place. The simple fact that a mere inquisitor of heresy had been summoned by an uninhibited, fickle, cruel great witch of the Senate meant that he'd be treated as no more than a mere underling. All along he had possessed no way to refuse her.
So, who killed the owner of this empty coffin? I'll answer that question. However, you'll let me do things my way.
As you like.
First off, I need to make you understand the current situation.
Yes, that would be extremely helpful at the moment.
Leon's expression seemed nonplussed, angry and confused all at the same time.
Over here. It'll be faster to see it for yourself.
Wonderful. Please lead the way.
Will signalled with his chin for Leon to follow him and spun around. After snorting once in an unsatisfied manner, Leon followed him, as though resigned to see Will's little show. As she watched them leave the chapel, Berncastel sneered silently at them, a cold smile on her face. As the Miko of the Great Witch of Theater-going, drama and spectating, feathering something au aurora. And as the Witch of Miracles, I, Berncastel, announce the start of this game. The tale's title is Requiem of the Golden Witch. Spin a tale fitting for Beato's funeral. Well now, let's just see how long you drag out the guts. She watched until the pair had left the chapel. Berncastel's form evaporated into empty air, just as she had arrived. All that remained was her unpleasant cackling. Outside, it was still raining. When Cannon saw the guest and the successor approaching the reception desk, he bowed deeply.
Good work. You can take a break now, so would you mind leaving?
It's Cannon. Yes, as you wish. Cannon bowed deeply, then disappeared. Don't you remember the names of all your servants?
Our family has many young servants coming in and out, and they're usually replaced quite frequently. Well, now, what are you trying to explain to me? Who are you and what business do you have with this family? Of course, there's no need to convince me. Feel free to head on home if you want.
There is no going home. Not for me. Not for anyone.
Could you please give that a rest? Stop speaking in confusing riddles. Like that all the time. Even I have my limits and patience. If you don't want to see me off, should I call Genji or Goda?
Don't freak out. Look at this.
Yes, I can see that. It's one of the memorial roses. Are you going to show me some kind of magic trick?
Will took one of the flower offerings, then showed it to Leon, as though pointing out that there were no mechanisms or tricks. Then he slowly lifted it upwards. Watch.
Yes, I'm watching. Is a dove going to fly out of it, or is it going to be flags and fireworks? Huh?
Will threw the rose. Anyone would have expected it to fly in an arc and land in some puddle. It didn't, which was why Leon had been struck dumb. The rose thrown by Will certainly had flown in an arc. It should have sped on rapidly through the air. However, as soon as it passed out from the shade of the eaves, and was about to reach the rain, it stopped right in midair, as though the air surrounding it had turned into syrup. That wasn't all. As it hung in midair, the rose's beautiful golden petals began to darken one after another, and it became a black husk like burned charcoal. And even after this happened, it remained suspended there in the air.
What sort of trick is this?
Don't move. Leon had moved closer to try and touch the remains of the rose, which still hung in the air. Will had roughly blocked the way with his arm. It was as though he was telling Leon that leaving this place meant certain death. This chapel has been cut off from the fragment. We're currently locked in a concentrated loop of time.
What? What do you mean by that?
Explaining's a pain, so I'll just give you the short version. Basically, unless we play along with that witch's game, no one can leave this place.
What? The funeral is already over. I'm sure some people will want to return to the mansion or the guest house. We can't be locked up here.
If you've got a bone to pick, then that witch is the one you're looking for. Being stuck in a place like this isn't any more pleasant for me.
That girl's your friend, right? Make her stop all this weirdness.
She's probably sitting in a spectator seat with a bucket of popcorn about now. She won't come if we just call her.
What on earth is going on?
That short sentence described all of Leon's feelings at that moment. However, Leon had seen the rose whirl through, wither in an instant in the rainy darkness. Leon tried doing the same thing with another rose, but the effect was exactly the same. No one would want to use their own body to test this fearsome something that could make roses crumble instantly.
There's only one way for us to be released from here. We have to play along with Berncastell's game.
You mean the one about who killed Beatrice?
That's what she's telling us to investigate. If you could fill me in, this'll go more quickly. That fickle witch will be completely satisfied. You'll be able to get rid of the two of us, and I have a date with Diana when I get back. If I keep her waiting too long, she'll start tearing up the sofa again.
Is Diana a cat?
Game's over.
What? Who killed Beatrice, you say? That's hardly something you should go barging into a funeral and asking the family about.
Questioning the family is one of the basics of the mystery genre. Just give up and accept it. I do know that Beatrice is the mistress of Kinzo, the family head.
You really are a strange person. How do you know so much about this family? Are you sure you have no connections with us?
Will knew as much about the Ushiromiya family, because Bernkastel had shown him all of the fragments so far. Of course, he had no sort of connection with the Ushiromiya family himself. The very plane of his existence was on a different level.
However, Beatrice died a long time ago. According to Genji, she passed away before the mansion was completed. But the reason for her death is unclear. To be honest, this is the first I've heard about her being killed. Tell me about it.
My name is Ushiromiya Leon.
Willard. Call me Will.
For the first time, Will introduced himself. Their mutual introduction was finally complete, and Leon was finally able to talk with him on an even footing. However, Leon took a deep breath and looked up at the sky, wearing a vague smile.
Wilson.
Call me Will. I'll call you Leon.
Well, to be honest, even I don't know much about this person called Beatrice.
I see. I guess it's called a game for a reason.
If only Leon could have told him everything, revealing the truth without any effort from Will. Apparently, things wouldn't be so easy after all.
Everyone who enters the Ushiromiya family knows the name and image of Beatrice.
That's because of the massive portrait hanging in the entrance hall, isn't it? That portrait was first displayed in April of 1984.
Seriously, how is it that you know so much? Well, it's about time I stopped finding that odd. I'm sure you'll just start speaking in riddles again.
Leon was the successor and lived in the head household. That made conversations with Kinzo an everyday occurrence. Because of this, Leon must have been used to chatting with people who were moody or hard to follow. With the understanding that getting stuck on the details would be nothing but a waste of time, the conversation naturally fell into a pattern as though Leon and this unknown man, Will, were longtime friends.
Everyone knows Beatrice, and yet no one knows her. Kinzo's the only one who has ever met her.
The head seems to be particularly cranky today. I'll introduce you to him when the chance presents itself, so I ask that you develop an appropriately discreet attitude, Wilson.
That was quick. I thought you'd resist a bit more than that.
I'm used to speaking with the family head. I've learned to accept the most unreasonable situations and just go with the flow.
Bernkastel had set up a barrier, cutting the chapel off from the rest of the world. To destroy that, they would have to find out who killed Beatrice. For Leon, who had already experienced many of Kinzo's rantings, understanding this much was more than enough. Rantings. Well, there you have it.
Wait, that was it?
Introduction into game number 7. So we have Leon and Will.
Leon's totally the trashed baby.
Leon is the trash baby.
Yes.
Will is Fork's battler. Is that the right word? Forks.
Forks?
Yeah. Don't even know. And we should read this. Ushiromiya Leon, the first child of Kraus and Natsuhi. Jessica is their second child. Was given the silver ring of the successor to the headship, and will succeed the position of family head upon turning 20.
Wait, the music is too loud. Sorry, I can't hear.
Mild, polite, and without any clear faults.
Wait, is it a boy?
I don't know why.
Leon's a son, right? Because the baby was it was a boy.
Was it?
Yeah, I swear the baby was a little boy.
We didn't actually find out.
Oh. Wait, does
They
it say
said-
Leon's a son or a daughter? I can't read, it's too tiny.
So Natsuhi assumed it was a he because the voice on the phone seemed like a young male's. But we never, actually knew.
Wait, does it say daughter? Just says child.
First child.
Yeah. First child. What was that?
Yeah, I'm constantly getting it. It's a Discord thing, I think. And then we have Will. Look at his resume. Oh, damn.
Can you read it out to me?
You want me to actually read it?
Yes, please.
A member of the SSVD, the 8th District Repentance Enforcement Agency of the Great Court of Heaven, an Inquisitor of Heresy and a first-class Archbishop. He is commonly known as Right of the 20 Wedges, or a wizard hunting right.
Wedges?
He was an... Yeah. Like
Steaks?
Steaks, yeah. Steaks you wedge into, like, a vampire or something.
Ah.
They've been using, like, that kind of imagery for their
Yep.
truth and logic battles.
Okay.
He was an ace inquisitor of heresy in his youth, feared for being both ruthless and merciless in his work. However, at some point, there was a change in his work attitude, and his previous flashy escapades became a thing of the past. His current style is often fickle, alternating between laziness and obsessive bursts of energy regarding mere trifles. By now, everyone has given up trying to understand him. He has already filed his resignation and had it accepted. Only a few days remain before he'll lose the name of right.
Interesting.
Yes. These are our new characters.
And I guess we're on a new tale and a new journey now.
Are we? Are we really? It's been the same tale the whole
I
7
mean,
books.
true.
This is just giving us a better in-depth look into it. If you can already guess the why I done it, I suppose.
You give me far too much credit.
Well, Will was going on about how people don't care enough about the heart, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to assume he's gonna want to like explore that side of the story a bit more.
Well, we had the I was gonna call it Feppa. Zepar and Furfa were talking a lot about the heart of things and love, and
Yep.
so I kind of figured that was a theme already.
They were giving you hints the whole time. But I suppose we'll have to find out more next time.
Next time. Till next time.
Where we may have old sprites, who knows?
Who knows?